Alright, welcome back to our continuing adventures on the Let's Defend platform. Today we are looking to finish off the DFIR challenge slash exercise, AWS CloudTrail. I think we were left with, what was it, 3 questions? SIA agents activity related to enumerating identities and permissions, which apparently from discussion in the Discord is 4 answers: a get, list, get, a bucket enumeration, and then how did the agent expose his country's secrets? I did get that right, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, it is 10 questions. Okay, so I've got everything pulled back up, gone through, done the extraction again, because this is now taking place, well, after when I recorded the first one. I was hoping to try to get to this a little bit sooner, but going through and again performing the cat space asterisk space vertical line, I forget what the technical term for it is, and then doing egrep -if, and then we are looking just for agent Darius to just basically dig through all these individual files to hopefully get some sort of better understanding as to the 4 commands around identities and permissions that would have been kicked off. So let's see. And this is from working at the top of the list all the way down. Of course, the problem. Okay, so very first thing that I can see is list MFA devices. So that, I don't know if I'd actually call that as. Okay, this may be entirely stupid, but can we do multiple things? Like, could we do it where, okay, it flags on Agent Darius, and then it would flag on things like list? No. Of course, it would be too much to hope for. Can we do it from multiple aspects in terms of? No. Okay, so effectively we're just going to do this the hard way. So I need to find a get, list, get that Agent Darius has gone through and done. Management user identity. And of course, the whole thing is then matching the event name. So it looks like list access keys. Alright, so I've got a list of this stuff here. So off to the side, we verified that he did access keys. And we'll just try to put that into some meaningful list afterwards. Event name get login profile. And so I am. Let me see. Am I doing it wrong? No. So I am looking at where it's denoting. So the highlighted area, and then I am looking up. So I'm pulling that from. We got this, and we get event name, and the break is right here. And then it goes to event version 1.08, and then it breaks down from there. So for this next one, we are looking for, we get list MFA devices. And we see this again, go up. And we're looking for the event name for this one. Yeah, and if it's basically just making your eyes hurt because you're looking at a wall of text, trust me, I'm right there with you. And then I see a list groups for user. The problem is I don't know how, because as it sits right now, I've got a total of 4. So what exactly is this one doing? But so, okay, so on an abundance not to just sit there while I'm going through and reading this. This is effectively how I'm approaching it. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to make a list of the gets and the lists, and then try to splice those out for identities and permissions. And then see about trying to put a list together, and then see about maybe modulating that list slightly to fit the format or whatever the answer key that they're looking for is. But so we'll go through and I'll get that stuff put together, and then we'll probably pick up more so once the list is there and I'm going through and trying to add different lists. But so again, doing the grep search for Agent Darius, and then I'm looking up where the detections are for the event name, knowing that if I go through and hit the event version of 0.18, denoting that I've gone too far for what I'm looking for. So I'll see everybody in on video to be a moment. Okay, long bit of time has gone through. But tired of the not able to take a full screen portion, so started up the VM again and using putty SSH'd into the Linux box that we're given and going through making use of the JQ tool and some commands to go through to examine the JSON records as they are pulled out. Everything tied to username agent Darius, and then to basically spit out event time, source IP, user identity, so the ARN, the account ID, the type, and then giving the event name at the end of it, which hopefully will be enough to sit there and get this pulled together. So we are looking for, this makes this so much more easier, but effectively we are back looking for, what is it, get list get for identities and permissions. So from this particular aspect, looking across everything, we have put object ACL, delete bucket, public access block, list objects, list buckets, attach user policy, create user, get policy, list attached user policies, list user policies, and get caller identity. So from all that, we've got two gets. So get policy and get caller identity. We're looking for list, or get list get. So then we have what? List objects, list buckets. Let's see, get policy, get caller identity. So I'm going to assume it's going to just end up being, from all this that we're seeing, probably list attached user policies. And list user policies. So I'm going to make the rendition of get policy. Because could we get policy? Okay, so if we do this time-wise, so let's see, 3/11/2023, and we would be looking for, so realistically it would actually be inverse. It would be get caller identity happening at 21/31/58, then list user policies, so 21/32/12. Okay, so I have actually got to reverse this. Assuming that this is how this is going to play out. I don't know if it will, but we will find out momentarily. And then to end with, then get policy. Okay, so at the time-wise, let's take that out and let's see, just by chance, very close to. So what if I put in spaces? Wish I could get a little bit more feedback, because that's kind of the question. We're close. Where? From the window, is there anything else that would potentially... list user policies, list attached user policies, get policy. What on the off chance it's actually reversed? So, like out of order. So, just basically take the same thing and just reverse it. Of course, the question is as well. It says we're close. So, what if we remove the Okay, let's do this. Where's my so I can make an actual attempt at this. What if we just cut out the spaces and it's all just one giant group? Okay then. So just separated by commas, no spaces. And what do we move down to? What bucket enumeration did the user do? And I think I had hints for this. Although wouldn't it I don't know if there were any sort of well, it's probably gonna be laid out. So what kind of enumeration? List buckets and list objects? I think those are two lists. So list buckets, list objects. Oh, oh, yeah, and. Okay, and so the question, what bucket enumeration? So obviously then it would be important to, let me bring this back up. So again, looking at the activity. So again, we're working bottom up in terms of time-wise. So we're looking for anything that would potentially touch a bucket. Well, we know the first part is the enumeration in regards to users and permissions. We get the create user activity to create the backdoor account. And then, of course, we get the touching or the listing of buckets, then followed by listing of the objects. Okay, so that leaves us with just what then? How did the SIA agent expose his country's secrets? Last two commands. So if okay. So last two commands are going to be delete bucket public access and put object ACL. Those are literally the last two commands that were fired off time-wise. Again, working from the bottom up. So let's go see as to whether or not if that's close. Okay then. Look at that. We got another badge to add to the list. Okay then. So that has been the AWS CloudTrail, the last three questions. So if going through and doing this, I would either highly suggest you can use the VM if you don't have access to anything else, or like in my case, putty to connect to the system. So, seeing as how this is going to be over with, so just make sure that we've got all 10. Yep, all 10 are answered. So effectively, and I just figured this out myself. So you go through, you do the connect, you do connect issue, and you get all those particular portions. So then you just fire up putty, you do analyst at whatever the IP is that they give you, enter once you've got the once you got the session going, and it will ask for the password. So 123, enter, and then you are back to good old putty goodness. No having to play around with anything else, but you have direct access to the system. So it just makes it easier. Of course, the other aspect would be too, you want to work with the log files themselves. I believe we'd be able to go through and do SCP. No, not secure, contain, protect. Can we? So could we just do this? So I want to take the contents of the folder and I want to dump it into. Okay, I'm just gonna make a LVM. Um, I'm obviously doing something wrong. I know it's supposed to be a path, but mm, oh well. Putty worked. Don't need to really worry about anything else from that particular aspect. So I would highly recommend going through and performing it this way once the VM gets started up. And then I did find a list of values for the event names that I will include in the description. And then a couple of good the tutorial to break down the use of the JQ command. But effectively, since it all follows the same particular portion, and I guess maybe I should have talked a bit more in regards to the commands that I was running. So that finishes the 3 questions, obviously. But so want to generate everything. So we're in the directory with the JSON.gz files on the local system. So we're calling gunzip-c asterisk.json.gz. We're doing the vertical line, then we're calling JQ, we're doing CR as the option, and then we're specifying records. Because if you look at the actual breakdown of any of these, and I think I had an example somewhere. Yeah, right here. So this is for the Amazon AWS log files. So the key portion is that it starts with records, and that's what we're looking to have it start looking at the JSON files for. And then we're doing the vertical line, and then we're selecting from that portion the subfield from records of user identity dot username. So user identity and then username off to the side, which, let me see if I've blown this up a little bit more. Okay, so again, it starts with records. We've got a major field of user identity, so we want to call that because we can't just say username. So we're basically working by indent. So user identity, we want user identity type, we want the ARN, we want the account ID, and the username. So that's accomplished by calling .user identity .type .user identity .ARN and the like. But we're performing a select in the beginning to go through and call. We want everything just limited to everything that is Agent Darius that we have a record for. Then we finish off with another vertical line, and then we're sitting there divvying out the filters for this particular aspect. So obviously, .event time pulls the event time from the JSON record. .source IP address pulls the source IP address. And then basically the same thing as we go through there. Then we're calling at CSV for comma separated values. Notice comma separated values. We're doing a sort. We're getting a unique count. And then we are doing, I forget what the invalid option E. Oh yeah, dash dash. What's the NR? I forget what it's specific. Numerical sort reverse. So I guess technically, what would happen if, what if we just did numerical without the reverse? Okay, then we could work top to bottom. And that way we would just be able to easily see the responses back for the questions that were causing issues. Because theoretically what you could do is, to answer the other questions, wonder if you can do, you could leave out the select portion, have it go through and kind of count everything. And then we more than likely would get, so like for example, and obviously if you have no interest in this particular aspect, I don't hold it against you. You don't have to obviously stick around. But if we get rid of everything Agent Darius, we basically just get a sequential order, right? Yes. Everything's broken down by, okay, who did what, where. And then from this, we could obviously figure out eventually agent Darius, which would then, of course, give us the source IP address in question. And then we could pivot back as opposed to the whole thing of catting the extracted JSON files and then grepping through that. Okay, this would have been a hell of a lot easier. What managed policy did. Yeah, so that we would probably have to dig a little bit more in for knowing what we would have, but because we could probably remove the sorting. Oh no, we'd still want to do sort. But yeah. Okay, so there we go. That is how I've finally gone through and finished AWS CloudTrail. Also, special shout out to Mr. Ian. Kind of helped each other get through this particular one, motivation wise. But okay, I am. Well, I will see everybody in the next video. Maybe we'll continue with AWS because, from what I hear, Bucket exists on Cyber Defenders. Not entirely sure though if I want to sit there and do more of this, but maybe we'll be able to pull the files down and I can actually just use it inside of a Linux VM or something where I can go full screen. Regardless, and all that being said, thank you for listening to me waffle, and I will see everybody literally in the next video. Or is it figuratively?